Happy Friday, you guys. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. We made it to the weekend, and I'm so excited about it. So we're getting into some news. We have an update about Russell Westbrook and some rumors that he's not that happy about. And Pascal Siakam kind of clapped back at a reporter, and I'm really curious to hear what the Fumble Squad thinks about that. Before we dive into all the news, click subscribe, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Now, here are the lovely ladies of the Fumble. I'm Devin Howard. You guys can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me everywhere at JRayTheFanatic.
What's up, y'all? It is finally Friday. It's your girl, Britt Johnson. You guys can follow me on all social media at @IamBrittJohnson.
Okay, you guys, so let's just dive into this latest update about Russell Westbrook. So we already have discussed how Russell is now a Washington Wizard, but he is, quote, very bothered by these rumors that are going around that he is a bad teammate. So Woj said, quote, "He has been very bothered, I'm told, by the suggestion of the kind of teammate he is and the criticism that he's felt he's taken here in the last months about being a great teammate." He went on to say that's important to him. "I think those who played with him in his career consider him among the most loyal guys who would do almost anything for the guys around him or people in the organization. I think going to Washington, that's extra motivation for him to really try to make it work with Bradley Beal." So, Jackie, my question is for you first. People say where there's smoke, there's fire. So do you believe that there is any truth to these rumors about Russ being a bad teammate? And also, how do you think he's going to be able to block out the noise and the negativity going into Washington?
Yeah, I always say where there's smoke, there's fire, but there's no smoke and there's no fire on this one. I mean, anytime you follow Westbrook, you would know that. We've seen interviews with Russell Westbrook where reporters have literally tried to call out his teammates and say, hey, you know, what are you going to do about this person falling short? What are you going to do about that person not stepping up? And he said, no, don't do that. We are a team. We operate as a team. We flow as a team. You can address us as a team, or you can put it all on me, but you're not going to sit here and you're not going to call out any of my teammates. That is a lack of ego in its entirety. Paul George called him a great teammate, said that he has no ego and that he wants to win. Pretty much everybody who's ever played with him says great things about him. James Harden hasn't said, much about him. And I know the whole rumor is that James Harden doesn't want to play with Russell Westbrook. But I've said it before that I just didn't think that they were coached properly, because we saw, James Harden, he just decided to stand back and really not get involved too much anytime Russell had control of the ball, and he would just wait for him to pass it to him. That shows ego to me. That just shows that you don't even want to figure out a way to try to work with your teammate, number one. And number two, it's bad coaching. Somebody should have coached y'all on how to play together. I get that these are two superstars, but Britt talks about it all the time. I know a lot of teams don't really have that, who plays the 1 and 2 spot and things of that nature. Everybody kind of just plays wherever. But people need to know their position sometime, especially when you have a similar style of play. You need to know your role, and you need to execute that role, and that needs to be coached that way. That does not fall on Russ as a teammate. Russell has never proven to be a bad teammate. People say that because of whatever other people say. Maybe they probably say that because of the KD and him situation in OKC and the fact that they couldn't make that work. That's one thing, saying that they couldn't make it work for whatever reason. But as far as Russ as a person, there's no indication that he's a bad teammate. It's just not there.
Yeah, and I'm with you, I think, entirely on that idea that it was poor coaching as opposed to a true lack of chemistry, or maybe personality issues when they're actually on the court together. But I didn't feel like it was because Russ was necessarily a bad teammate. I do want to read one chat in here. Mamba Machine writes, "So many teammates of his have immediately found success after leaving. KD won a championship. Oladipo became an all-star. Harden became an MVP and almost went to the finals. Russ was holding them back." Now, Britt, this is not what I was going to ask you about at all, but I'm curious to hear your reaction to that comment specifically, and then I'll ask you my follow-up question.
That's kind of tough. I don't feel like Russ necessarily held them back, but because Russ is such a dominant player, I don't think necessarily that he brings out the best in everybody else, because if he feels like somebody else is lacking, he's not really going to push them. He's just going to take the ball from them and do whatever he has to do himself. So, and I think that can kind of especially when you are in a situation where you have other stars on the team, which Russ has always played with other stars. Like, he hasn't been in a situation where he's like a guy that has to necessarily control everything and be everything. Even when he was at UCLA, like, he's never been in a situation where he's been the only star on the team. Yet sometimes he plays like everything is on his shoulders when it's not. And he kind of like thinks he has to like double up on everything or do the most, which is, I mean, why he, you know, several times in his career has had the most, you know, triple doubles, you know, because he does want to be there everywhere on the court. And one second we'll see Russ over here getting a rebound, and then he's all the way over here throwing his own assist to himself and the ball. So I think sometimes when you have other guys that are stars on the team as well, they're like, bro, I had that. Like, you didn't have to come in and whatever. But Russ, because he is a man that is like, I want to win all the time, and that's my focus. He's not leaving things up to chance, and that means like no, I got this, you know. And I could see how that could kind of like be hard to manage when you're in a situation with several stars, which will be interesting to see him with Bradley Beal, because we know what Bradley Beal had to do this season of having multiple games over 40 points that he was scoring, yet his team still wasn't winning. And he's like, okay, every game I'm scoring over 40, we still lose. So how am I supposed to deal with the situation? So I think it actually might be a good thing to have Russell Westbrook in there to help like figure out the other parts. Like, you can, you know, maybe leave Bradley Beal shooting the ball, and then Russ can be facilitating and doing everything else he needs to do on the court. But I could see why people would feel that, and why that comment, whoever said that, Mamba, whatever, something said that, because it does make sense, because Russ is just like that guy. That's part of wanting to win. We see that with OBJ all the time too, like that need to want to win and be so great all the time that sometimes you just get frustrated with your teammates or frustrated with like a situation and just want to do everything yourself.
Right.
And I actually want to say with that though, like ahead. I think that kind of is more of I totally agree with what Britt said too, because it's not like he's hindering somebody. But I think it also is a testament to Russ as well, because I know I've been in situations where I haven't really come into my own. I had some great mentors in my life, but I never really came into my own until I got from under their umbrella and had the room and the space to develop on my own, in my own space. So when you have someone like Russ, who's kind of dominant in that way, if you take the reins, he will let you take the reins. We've seen him do that. But like Britt said, if you're lacking, then he's just going to step up and do it. But I do think that his tutelage is in his impact on these people. That's what we're seeing when they leave. We're still seeing remnants of Russ and the stuff that he's instilled in them after they leave, because that happens with a lot of people. They just get better after they leave somebody because that person has inspired him. It's the opposite. I think Russ is the opposite of Tom Brady. We see Tom Brady, people leave him and they suck when they go other places. You know what I mean? Because that is a testament to, it's just the coaching and it's just that system. But with Russ, I think it's the same thing. I think he's somebody you can learn a lot from if you really want to. And I think that's why he and Bradley Beal will be great together, because he, A, is not selfish, and B, he definitely wants to be that guy to somebody else.
You guys both actually answered the next question that I had already. It was, what do you expect for Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal? So let's just move on. I'm glad that I didn't even have to answer that question. We were all on the same wavelength, just like we have been all week with our matching outfits, although we missed the mark today.
Today we missed it completely.
You guys are in pastels. I'm in black. Like, I was just somewhere else today. Let's talk about Pascal Siakam. So he spoke to the media on Thursday, and he took issue with what a reporter said about the Raptors' 2019 NBA championship win. So the reporter referred to their title as surprising. So I'm going to play the clip for you here. I want you guys to see his reaction and everything. Leo, can you roll that clip for us?
Just wanted to know, first, a couple of years ago, the Raptors surprisingly won the NBA championship. Then last season, you guys had to live with the expectations of being the defending champion.
What does that even mean?
No, it wasn't that way. I mean, because people were just pointing out that the Warriors were the favorites. That's all. You guys totally deserve it. You guys totally deserve it, just to make that clear.
Oh, no. And he walked it back.
Yeah. You can tell that like just the way his eyes start going back and forth. Pascal was annoyed by that.
Yes.
And to be fair, I understand why he would be offended by that, and I'm not going to share much of an opinion on this until I hear from you guys because I want to get your full reaction. But I do think that a lot of people would say it was a surprise that the Raptors walked away with the win on that one. I think a lot of people had the Warriors winning, but Britt, asking you first, would you categorize the Raptors win as surprising?
Maybe if you were thinking about the beginning of the season and then up into that point, but hello, the Warriors were completely injured and didn't have anybody playing on that team during that NBA Finals. So why would you be surprised that a healthy Raptors team with several guys that had already won championships with the Spurs would then go and be in this situation with the Raptors and win it all? Like, you're playing literally nobody with the Warriors because the Warriors are all injured at this point. Like, Kevin Durant had already dropped out. Clay's already, like, you're literally playing with not the actual Warriors team. So what is there to be surprised about? Like, that was just so weird. And consistently before that, we've seen the Raptors had been in the playoffs for 5 or 6 years before that. They couldn't get out of the second round, but then like they got to, like, they've been building a team. And then that season they were like, once they got Kawhi and got Danny Green, everybody was like, oh, they're trying to win it right now. Like, it was a situation where they knew they only had Kawhi and Danny Green to the end of the season. Everybody knew it was a situation like, if we're going to get rid of what's his name, DeMar DeRozan, if we're getting rid of DeMar DeRozan, who wants to be here for a long period of time, and get Kawhi and get Danny Green in this mix, we're trying to do it right now because this is all we have. So it's not a surprise at all because they were literally like, fires ablazing, guns shooting, we're running this way, and there's a wall, and we better be ready to go when we get to this wall because that's all we got. After that, we don't have these guys anymore, and they didn't. Everybody else left after that season. So I don't know. It is weird that he would say surprising. I think it was like, oh, like you had this monumental or great moment where you guys won your first franchise championship. Yeah, that's great, but it wasn't like a surprise that they won. Like, it was like, honestly, almost put on a platter to them by the time they got to the NBA Finals because the Warriors were all knocked out by that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. The Warriors were very injured at that point. Becky, do you understand why Pascal was frustrated? Do you feel he was being too sensitive, or was his reaction completely on point?
I think, first of all, no matter, Britt's absolutely right. I mean, they definitely played the short game. I was kind of surprised about some of the moves that they made because I was like, all right, this is like a one and done kind of thing. You're definitely not playing the long game, but they weren't. They definitely wanted to win in that moment. And I think with everything that Britt said with the injuries, you got Kawhi, you made all these moves, you shipped off DeMar DeRozan. Yes, their goal was to win right now. But aside from all of those facts, I am a player who is playing year after year to try to win a chip. That shouldn't be surprising to nobody. I don't care what team it is. This is why I'm here. This is why kids look at these games and they think about one day being in that situation where the confetti starts falling and they won. That's why they are here. Don't be surprised if anybody wins it at any time. That's what they're here. That's the goal. That's always the goal. Sometimes it's the money. Right. But for most people, that's the goal. So it is insulting to tell somebody, I'm surprised you achieved the goal you set out to achieve. That's one of them dumbass questions that I just can't give a pass to.
And then he doubled down on it. Like, he doubled down on his question. Like, my guy, no, say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that at all. It was not surprising. It was this. Like, he doubled down on it. Still use the word surprising.
Yeah. But like, also, I'm surprised that you're surprised that I said I was surprised. This boy asked another question.
That's surprising.
This poor reporter, I think he was like chiming in from a different country. He probably was like in that moment just so shocked. But that was such a funny moment to watch, like just pure gold to see his complete, reaction like that. I loved it. But you guys, let us know in the chat what you think about Pascal's reaction. Let me know in there. I'll look at what you say and respond. But on that note, Jackie, can you take us into the post up?
Yes, this is the post up, not at all surprised edition. That's so silly. All right, so We've already heard that LeBron reached out to Trez, basically knocked on his door and said, hey, are you happy with your current situation? You know, what are you thinking? That's kind of how you cultivate a relationship to see if somebody wants to jump ship and come over to your side. That's not what Kawhi did. And Serge Ibaka is sharing how Kawhi approached him. It's very robotic. It's very dry. It's very Kawhi. Take a listen.
On a fridge yesterday, right? He texts me, hey, what's up? I said, what's up, bro? I'm on vacation. Ah, cool. 4 later. Bro, are you coming or no? Just picture Kawhi and his voice. Like, it was funny. It was funny. Bro, are we doing it or not? Like, it was very funny, yeah.
That's it. Are you coming or no? That's such an ingenious pitch. Britt, I'm gonna have to go to you because I know you can hear, especially in Kawhi's voice, like, are you coming or no? Like, are you surprised by this pitch to get him to
surprise?
What surprise? I'm surprised you're surprised and I'm surprised about this.
This is Kawhi all day, and I love that. Like, obviously, when we got rid of Trez, or not get rid of Trez, when we lost Trez and when we lost JaMychal Green, we had to fill that spot. And like, I knew the Clippers were like going to be searching for like a big guy like that. And then obviously they went to Kawhi and they're like, hey, you know, you played with Serge last year. Obviously that was your BFF on the team because you only appeared on his social media. Like, so could you like reach out to him and see what he's thinking, yada, yada.
Right.
And usually then the player goes, lays out a red carpet. Yo, my bro, let's go do this. Da da da. My guy, let's hang out. When you come here, it's like I'll take you to the strip club. We'll do this, that, and the third. I'm sure that's what James Harden said. But like, they have this whole red carpet lined out. Kawhi is just like, "What's up, bro? Are you coming or not?" Like, you know, like that's his pitch. Mm-hmm. That's his like. I got the job to recruit you, and that's what I'm telling you. Are you coming or not? Like, you know, just, and then Serge is like, yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah,
whatever you need, my guy.
Right. What were you gonna say to Kawhi? You gonna say no?
That's part. And y'all know. I said earlier I was happy Serge is coming because I got a little crush on Serge, and now I know the only thing I have to ask him is like, are we gonna go together or not?
Or not?
Now, I told or not.
Britt and I had a conversation. She needs to stay on this Serge tunnel vision with Serge, because sometimes Britt gets derailed and wants to go this ratchet route. No, you stick with Serge. I don't want to hear no other names. Serge is your guy.
Well, at least Mahomes. I know it's a simple pitch. It's just like, hey, we going together or not?
Or no, he's gonna be like, okay.
And I have a monotone voice too. Anyway, I got this. I could sound just like Kawhi. This is perfect, and I'll do the little laugh at the end and everything. Whatever you need, Serge, I got you. I just ain't eating any of that weird food you make. But I got
that's
you.
That's a prerequisite. You're going to have to be on his show, Britt. You better get some
taste buds together. He be feeding his teammates balls, like bull's balls and stuff. No, I am a vegan. It's not happening.
If they season right. I just went. All right, we're going to move on before this gets out of hand. We're going to move on. Because you guys know I'm all about LeBron James all day, every day. The man can do no wrong by me, can say no wrong by me. I trust him 100%. So I'm just going to have to fake it right now because you know how I feel about Kuz. I said it the other day. He's always saying he's going to be the third best player on the team. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to have to fake that one. I'm going to have to pretend full 100% on this one because Hoop Central asked the question. They said, name an NBA player you think will take a giant leap this season. And LeBron replied, I'm going to show you this. So he replied in big bold letters, Kyle Kuzma. I'm just not gonna say.
He's
I'm
getting
gonna say
LeBron, trying to speak it into existence.
Yeah, I'm not gonna speak against my king. So I'm just gonna tell y'all what Twitter said. Because so this first person says pass the ball earlier in the shot clock so Kuzma is not forced into a catch and shoot scenario. Best defense against Kuzma equals LeBron James infatuation with AD. First of all, it's your job to be able to catch and shoot. That's number one. And second of all, it's not an infatuation with AD. AD is the man, so you need to get your whole life together. This second person says, yeah, he should be infatuated with Kuzma instead. LMAO. Kuz couldn't do anything with ball by himself unless you just wanted to increase his turnovers. Let him work on being a better shooter and a defender. Forget all those extra things, and he'll become better on those. Now, maybe that's where I'm missing it, because maybe I do expect Kuzma to be a well-rounded player. He needs to be able to do all things, including being what LeBron said and being the third best scorer on the team. But maybe we just need to let him stay in his lane and do what he does best, because there are other ways you can help your team outside of scoring. So let me go to Devin, my fellow Laker fan, because I'm not going to speak against my king. Do you think that we're going to see this giant leap from Kyle Kuzma this season?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I would like to say that we will, but I did this story this morning. I covered it on our channel, and I think that the more realistic thing right here, I don't mind speaking out against LeBron. I love him, but in this case, I think that he's got an ulterior motive going on. I definitely think that he's trying to raise Kuz's trade value, make him seem more attractive to other teams, just because we can't. I mean, look at how much Laker Nation was frustrated with him. We had a petition saying that he shouldn't get a ring. People are constantly dragging him online. To me, it seems surprising that LeBron would even come out and say that Kyle Kuzma is the guy that's going to make a big leap, even if he truly feels that way. So, I don't know. I think like there could be something going on here. He's kind of playing GM role a little bit. So, I don't know. Maybe I was about to say Kuzman. Maybe Kuzma's getting shipped off somewhere.
I mean, Kuzma is always on the top of the trade list. He's been on the trading block every year he's been here, and he has managed to survive. This will be his last chance, though, I think. I think LeBron might be doing a little bit of both. He might be trying to raise his stock value, but he might be trying to instill in him, like, my guy, I need you to be the guy that I need you to be. I need you to come off the bench on fire. You know what I mean? But I don't know how much it's going to work. And go ahead.
I was going to say, maybe saying these things publicly kind of gives Kuzma, having that vote of confidence is going to give him the motivation or encouragement that he needs to actually make these improvements. It could go either way. So, but yeah, I do agree that this is probably his last shot.
I think it's opposite. I think stop saying anything about Kyle Kuzma, because he already thinks he's the crap anyway. Like, he needs somebody to tell him that he sucks and he's trash, and then maybe he'll actually because he has an ego. And if you tell him he's great, he don't think he needs to do anything else to get better. And people are already gassing him up too much, and I think that's his biggest problem. He needs, in this moment, I need LeBron to be more Kobe and more MJ and be a little bit more mean, which is what he normally does. But Ray Jean told him to be nicer to the young guys, so now he's trying to be nice to LeBron.
His older age was messing him up.
He rude LeBron. Go back to being rude LeBron that you picked off of Kobe and Michael Jordan. That's the LeBron we need you to be in this moment, is tell Kyle Kuzma that he's well, actually, no, don't tell him nothing, because I'm not a Lakers fan, so I don't even care.
Exactly. I was waiting.
I'm trying to help y'all.
Well, I volunteer as tribute. I didn't mind telling Danny Green. I have no problem telling Kyle Kuzma, because Kyle Kuzma ran out here and said that he would be number one on any other team, and I said, boy, bye. I know you won't. I don't know what you smoking. Stop it. But I do think you would be hard-pressed to get a GM to think that just because LeBron said he's going to have a giant leap, unless they just suddenly can't read. The stats are there for you. So anyway, I digress. Don't get me started on Kyle Kuzma. Just do better, Kyle Kuzma, in my Tyra Banks voice. We're all rooting for you. All right. So anyway, let's move on to AD, because you guys know he just signed that contract. He is, $190 million, something like that. It's insane contract. I never had a doubt. I thought AD was always going to sign with us. I thought logistically he was probably going to do some wait and see, which is exactly what he did. I know a lot of Laker Nation got nervous the longer it took, but I think AD is admitting that he didn't have a doubt that he was going to sign with the Lakers as well. So take a listen to this.
I just wanted to take the process one day at a time. Obviously winning a championship with LA was very great. The team, Rob put together and Jeannie put together, and Linda and all the people in the front office was amazing. And we did something special, especially with everything going on in 2020. So I don't think it was a doubt that I was, going to come back. It was just trying to figure out all the logistics and what was best for me and my family. And was able to get a deal done today. So I'm excited about that, excited to be, in what does call the big three with him, myself, and Bron. So, it's going to be a great time. We got another great task ahead of us. The team is looking great. Guys are working out, so I'm excited.
Well, I'm glad to hear he's excited because, we saw that interview with LeBron James earlier in the week and he looked relaxed. This is probably the most relaxed I've ever seen him in his entire career during the offseason. So I'm excited about this whole thing as well. But I'm going to give a shout out to this Twitter user named Sophia because I think she nailed it on the head because I'm always talking about chemistry. I say that over and over again. And she said, we never doubted his decisions. Some people don't understand what this team built last season, the bonds they created. It's all about that family feeling. And then a 5-year, $190 million deal helped a little bit too. So I'm super excited about this. I'm ear to ear with all of my stuff. I can't wait to the Lakers city jerseys. This is a weird time for me, I just have to say, because I've hated the Lakers my whole life. And now I'm just got whole walls of Lakers stuff. It's a weird time for me, you guys. But all right. I'm going to move on to this next one because I don't think any of us, especially not on this panel, I don't think any of y'all in the chat or anyone in the known universe actually wants to see LeVar Ball play one-on-one with Michael Jordan. I don't think any of us want to see it because we can imagine in our head how it's going to go. But LeVar always talks about it enough that Bleacher Report had to create a scenario in which we can see it. So let's take a look at this pitiful, pitiful clip. First of all, LeVar don't even look right. Why are you walking
Jordan's
like
jersey clean though. Jordan's jersey clean.
Like, why he gotta fall down like Shaq though? Why he gotta fall like Shaq?
Let's go.
It's so funny.
This is
Now he's
embarrassing. He made 2 though. LeVar
Wow.
made 2 whole points though. So let's can we give him why did they have to make LeVar Ball fall down like Shaq though? Was that absolutely necessary?
It was.
He shouldn't have got back up. Well, the real LeVar Ball would not have been able to get back up had he fallen like that. He would have been like, my hips, my back, my leg, like everything. I'm sorry.
Right.
He's too old. He would not have been able to get back up looking like that, falling like that. No.
And come on, if we actually saw this happen in real life, LeVar would be falling like that. Like, that's just what would have to happen.
You'd have to have medics on standby. Yeah, because
on the ground.
He doesn't even walk. He's never actually walked right, but now in his older age, like, you have to have a medic on standby. But I will tell you, LeVar Ball does have some fans because, let me throw up this tweet real quick, where it says, the fact that LeVar isn't falling over backwards like an unathletic, that one goes to you, Britt. But this person says, you have to be trolling if you think LeVar would let Jordan drop more than 10 points on him. So there are people in the world that think LeVar.
What?
I put that in there specifically for you, Britt.
Mike, I'm about to tweet you right now, my guy, okay? I'm about to cuss you out.
I put that in there just for you. That was just the reaction I wanted.
Okay, we just found what LeVar Ball's burner account was. It took us a while to find Kevin Durant's. We found it. That is LeVar Ball's burner account. I will bet money on it. That is LeVar Ball's burner. Oh, and look who he has in the picture. Kevin Durant. This is a burner account. Y'all. Wow. I'm uncovering things here. Okay. Wow. I see you, LeVar. I see you, my guy.
This is me succeeding in this moment. I wanted to see an upset Britt. I looked high and low for this tweet. Yay. I'm excited. I succeeded in what I wanted to succeed in. Don't nobody be surprised by that, okay? All right, so let's move on to this next one because I know here on the Fumble we love Taco Tuesday, but I am happy to see that KD is no longer going to represent the Taco Tuesday meat on his head. He has shaved his head. Let's take a look at this tweet. Look how clean my man looked. I don't even like KD, but that's so much better than what we was rocking with a couple weeks ago. Shouts out to KD.
Can we zoom in?
Well, yes, and we can get the bigger picture too because he's actually showing off this their new city jerseys for the Nets. Leo, can you zoom in? Because I know what Devin's looking at. She's looking at this like extra shine spot in the front. I know she wants to get a closer look.
Exactly. And I'm looking at it on my phone. Everything is so small, so I do have to get a closer look at this bald head.
All I already know what Devin's looking at. But let's talk about these. There it is. I knew Leo right on time with it. He's like, there it is. It's still so much better, though. It's still so much better. But how do we feel about this jersey, ladies? Because I know we've critiqued a lot of city jerseys. How do we feel about the Nets city jersey?
I love it.
I mean, I think it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Shorts are fire too. I love it. I love the whole get up. I think it's perfect. Dope.
Yeah, I love it as well. I love it. You guys in the chat, specifically KZ199, can y'all please stop calling KD a snake? We should let that ship sail at this point. The man is
let it go. Leave him alone.
Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. All right. Okay, so now that the dust has settled and we are all used to the notion of John Wall.
Wait. We have to acknowledge Robert Anderson said he looks like a tall, thin George Jefferson.
I hate the accuracy of that comment. I hate the accuracy of that comment. Robert.
Robert, we need to hire you to run our social because
like Wendy.
Just Twitter. Like he is the GOAT of the comments all the time.
Oh my God. Could you imagine what he would do to our trolls? Yes, we might need to hire him for real. Cause yes, I hate the accuracy of that though. That was classic. All right, so look, now we got you wrong, but you're right. Wrong, but you're right. So now that the dust is just settled with this whole John Wall in Houston with Boogie and maybe James Harden will be staying, it was time for John Wall to say goodbye to DC. And I have to admit, his goodbye kind of tugged at my heartstrings just a little bit because it was a beautiful statement. So he says, oh Lord, let me blow this up because that's tiny as hell on my screen. So he says, where do I even begin? 10 years is a long time to think back on. I came to DC as a skinny 19-year-old with big dreams and goals. You embraced me and my family with open arms. You rocked with me from day one until now. From a young rookie to an all-star, I did my best to make you proud. Through good times like the game 6 versus Boston, through injuries and rehab, I've always felt love from you. I appreciate you and will always have love for DC. I may not wear the jersey anymore, but I will never forget what it meant to represent for y'all. This isn't the way I thought I would say goodbye to the city, so I won't. I will say thank you. Love, John Wall. I thought that was so sweet, and it's very authentic. He immediately got love from Washington Wizards fans. They definitely embraced him and they definitely had his back. And this user said, terrible day in DC sports. This was a dumbass trade for the Wizards, but I look forward to watching Wall play with Harden and Boogie. They're going to be a problem out west. Westbrook is OC and a bad teammate. He's not. And he got a lot of miles on his legs. But your boy, I love that he's got a lot of miles on his legs as if John Wall just not coming off a 2-year rehab, but whatever. But John Wall should not expect the same love from Houston fans because they already trolling. He said, this user said, I speak for all Rockets fans. I guess they took a poll. I speak for all Rockets fans when I say I don't want you, Wall. All Rockets fans would have rather had Westbrook. So don't expect the same kind of.
But he's a Tampa Bay fan?
I saw that too. I was like, okay, he might be like me. Maybe he just follows people. Maybe. I don't know.
So he's a Tom Brady fan, and then now he's we don't care about your opinion anyway, my guy.
Yeah, you're right. We don't. Oh gosh. All right. So y'all know that one of the reasons that I've hated on the Cleveland Browns so bad, and I will own that, is because number one, I said that once Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham met up, they were going to be kings of the North. They failed me, and then part of the reason why they failed me is because I love OBJ so much, and they just did not utilize his talent. To me, I was heartbroken by that. I did not like the way they just basically underutilized him, and I was super heartbroken when he suffered a torn ACL to his left knee in October. Guys, that was just 2 months ago. So I have to admit, this video, I know a lot of people were excited to see it. This video freaks me out because that was just 2 months ago when he tore his ACL. I think rest is crucial. I get it that, like Britt talked about that earlier, like you just have that I want to win at all cost mentality. So I get it You want to get back out there and start rehabbing and get in shape as soon as possible. But I think it is more important to let your body rest and let your body heal. I do not like this at all. It freaks me out.
I feel the same way. When I saw this too, it made me like shiver, just seeing how like slow he's having to move. And it's so soon. It's way too soon for him to be doing this. This is like setting himself up, I feel like, for another injury.
Right. And I get it. Like I said, I understand that mentality, but I just wish that, you know, sometimes these organizations weren't even so quick to get these athletes back. Sometimes they would just say, no, bro, you need to rest. You need to heal. Make sure you're 100%. We're in the middle of a pandemic anyway. This is a perfect time to just chill out. So OBJ, if you happen to be watching this, can you please take that advice and just go as slow as possible and make sure you heal up completely. All right. So now, speaking of stuff that make me cringe, let's move on to something that made me tear up just a little bit, because this kid is going to cherish this reaction from his dad for the rest of his life. He might think it's a little weird now, but one day he's going to be able to look back on this, especially because it's on a video, and he is going to see the love and excitement from his dad. He is going to cherish that forever. So check out this video when this dad finds out his son has just made his team.
The middle school basketball team, man.
What?
Mom need to go faster. Go faster, Mom.
Oh, put some pep in that step, Mama.
No, Mama need to go faster.
You messed up his remote. You made the team, babe.
Daddy knocked his glasses off and everything. Watch, he's putting his glasses back on in a second.
Right?
Like, Daddy knocked my glasses off.
Dad, you want to cry?
Dad actually starts crying a little bit. I was like, oh my God, what is this substance coming from my eyes? I actually love this. You guys, I always talk about my dad. Me and my dad were super close. So the moments like this, I'm telling you, they will live in this kid's memory bank forever. I love this moment. But now we're going to go from one memorable moment to one kid that his parents need to immediately put him into anger management classes like today. Because I'm not exactly sure who got ejected or why they got ejected from this game, but I have an idea that it had something to do with unsportsmanlike conduct, because this is ridiculous.
Has been disqualified.
Wait for it. Just knocks down the ref. I have a few problems with this video. Number one, the kid runs out to knock down the ref. We probably should replay at least the ending. The coach sees the kid running out, but instead of running towards the kid, who is the coach running to? The kid's clearly going after the ref.
At least block the ref. That coach clearly knows he don't want none of that kid. So he's like, hey, let me try to slow down this blow a little bit, but I can't stop this kid. He already knows what that kid's like.
Oh my goodness. I was like, yo, because you're right, because now it's his fellow players that are like, yo, don't do that, don't do. The coach is still over there like, hey, come back. I don't want the smoke.
Or he could have thought that the player was going to go to the other team's bench, which is what normally happens, not to the ref. So maybe he was trying to get to the bench first and trying to go around the ref, but then he's like, oh wait, he's actually trying to hit the ref. That kid,
that is too much. Yeah, but look, as bad as we think that it is right now, look, somebody thinks that the NFL can anticipate something like this happening, because it said, don't get excited. No, this isn't the one. This is not the one. The person that went up there actually said, I forget their exact quote, but they said, this is going to happen in the NFL soon, because soon players are going to get tired of these refs doing these whack calls. That's not going to happen. No. We are grown-ups
here. If
this
didn't happen during when we had the replacement refs?
Yes.
It ain't going to happen any other time, because that was the worst calling of football I've ever seen in my life. And it didn't happen then. So
ever.
It ain't gonna
And there was a
happen.
lot of cursing on the sidelines, but didn't nobody run off the sidelines and try to do nothing. So I absolutely agree with Britt Johnson on that one. All right, so that's all I got for post up. So now let me jump into this what we not gonna do, because I'm pretty sure the ladies will agree with me a little bit on this one. But I'm curious to see what they think. But you guys already know, I don't know how many times the Steelers have had to rethink and replan things. Oh, yes, I do. None, because they've actually followed the COVID protocols and they haven't had a problem with any games. They haven't been the reason games had to be postponed. They actually have had to postpone games twice because of other teams. They actually also lost their bye week, their mid-season bye, which is ridiculous. And Juju Smith tweeted about that. He says, first, the NFL takes away our bye week because of another team. Now they take away our Thanksgiving game, primetime Thanksgiving game, shaking my head. I think that is something you should be upset about. Eric Ebron tweeted something similar. He said, this is BS. And then Steelers, Deontay Johnson, he tweeted out basically saying it's real BS, basically is what he said. But this is what happens, I believe, when you don't have a very clear-cut plan. There is no way the Steelers should have lost their bye week. And I know people will say, oh, no, they didn't lose their bye week. Yes, they did. Because instead of receiving a mid-season bye week, they had to take it in week 4. How much sense does that make? They take it in week 4 when they're facing the Titans coming up that following week. 4 weeks into this season, when we had modified training camps, when we didn't have a preseason, we had a whole bunch of injuries. Teams were still starting to get into full swing by week 4. That week 4 bye did not benefit the Steelers in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And I think it's shameful that they were forced to do that. And the NFL, like I said, really didn't have a plan in place to ensure that a team like the Steelers, who managed to follow all the COVID protocols and guidelines, and they don't end up in these situations, that they don't have to be penalized when other teams don't. They had no plan in place for that. And because this is not the first time the Ravens had an issue with COVID. Yes, it sucks that the Steelers had to deal with that again, and they lost their primetime Thanksgiving Day spot. But what I honestly think should have happened, I think the NFL should have made the Ravens forfeit that game. I think that was just the obvious answer, because a lot of people couldn't even watch that game. I forgot that it was coming on, so I didn't see it. And then we didn't have it messed up everything because we didn't have our Thursday night either. And I think the NFL should have forced the Ravens to take that L, and they should have been penalized for their lack of following the guidelines. I don't think that the Steelers should have had to be on the receiving end of that penalties. And again, I didn't see Wednesday night's game because I forgot, because it was rescheduled like 3 times. But from the highlights, it looks like Steelers tight end Eric Ebron he struggled a bit. He didn't play his best game. And then technically from the score, it looked like everybody on the Steelers struggled because they only won that game by 5 points. So I don't know if we could expect anything different. They literally played 3 games in 12 days. That is exhausting just to even think about. And so Eric went on Uninterrupted, the podcast, and he let it be known that he was not happy with the situation. He said, quote, "We put all of these stipulations in place. Everybody signed up and said, okay, it's going to be cool. Nobody thought you would play 3 games in 12 days. Think about that. That's us. We played Wednesday, we played Monday against Washington, and we play Sunday at Buffalo. Oh my God, they're trying to see us fail, bro. Welcome to the National Football League." So I think he has a point. I think you have to start taking that personally. You have to start thinking that maybe the NFL is out to get us because we doing what we're supposed to be doing, but we still end up on the receiving end of this BS. I think that that's entirely wrong. He didn't stop just there, and I'm glad he didn't, because I know a lot of you were saying, well, so what? This is what they get paid to do. No, they don't get paid to put their bodies in jeopardy like this. And Eric said, quote, "I don't care about a game check. I'm sorry. I know there are people who don't make the amount of money I do. I know that. So what? I'm sure they don't want to play 3 games in 12 days either. They'd much rather, lose a game check than risk not making a check the next year because they're hurt." And I think that is the point that we're absolutely missing, because he's 100% right now. They shouldn't put themselves in, how many injuries we've seen in this season alone? They should not put themselves in situations where they can be injured in 3 games in 12 days. That's what's putting them in that situation. So what we're not going to do is pretend that Eric is not 100% right and the NFL is not 100% wrong, because they are 100% wrong, because they had no contingency plan. They don't have teams like the Steelers who've done everything the NFL has said they should do. They should not be penalized because other teams don't. So forcing the Broncos to play without quarterbacks, that was the right call. But they should have stayed the course, and they should have made the Ravens take the L. If the Titans end up in a similar situation anytime soon again, they should have to take an L. I just don't think this is fair. I think Roger Goodell has no idea what he's doing, and he has no idea what's to come if we continue on this upswing with the coronavirus. I think it's terrible, and I think Eric is 100% right. I want to go to you real quick, Britt, because I know you and I have talked about this a lot. Do you think Eric is right, or do you think he's wrong in his assessment of the NFL? Not even thinking that the NFL is out to get them per se, but that the NFL didn't put anything in place to make sure that teams that did the right thing weren't penalized.
No, let's put it on the NFL is out to get them per se. Yes, I think that because I do think the NFL has storylines that they want to create. They have, in this situation, they have the best opportunity to make and move things how they want to move it because of COVID. And obviously the favorite for the AFC and the face of the AFC and the face of the NFL is supposed to be the Kansas City Chiefs. So they've moved stuff in ways that benefit the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously the Steelers are right now the most dominant team in the AFC. So they don't want them to be. I think the NFL doesn't want them to be because honestly, even in the situation of, the Broncos having to play that game against the Saints. First of all, Saints are like a division or are a team in the NFC that the NFL is favored towards. The NFL likes the Saints and the NFL likes the Kansas City Chiefs. And literally that Bronco game, if that Bronco game would have got postponed or pushed back, guess what it affects? Guess who the Broncos are playing this weekend? The Kansas City Chiefs. So that would have actually moved that game around and messed up their schedule. So why is it technically the same situation of players getting COVID or having a situation like that, but then that game doesn't get changed? Those players just can't play. But then in other situations that involve the Steelers twice already, their games get moved around in this set and the third. So I think it is the NFL moving their chess pieces how they want to move them because they have certain teams that they would like to be favored to go to a championship game. We remember a couple years ago in, I think, 2018 when the Steelers had tons of players that were kneeling during the national anthem and Pouncey and all these guys were coming out being vocal and saying stuff, and the NFL hasn't liked them since. And now they're the best team in the league right now, yet they're the team that continues to be unfavored in situations that come to COVID, yet they have not had any positive COVID tests. It just doesn't make any sense. It's weird to me, and it's in line with what the NFL would do. I do not put it past the NFL to try to give certain teams better access to make it to the playoffs. And like you said, playing 3 games in 12 days is unheard of. Like that is insane. There's times obviously when players or teams can get that 10-day off just because they'll have a Thursday night game and then not play again until that following Sunday. And even that's like, oh my gosh, thank you for this break. Them not getting their bye, like all of this, that, and the third is like crazy. So I'm low key cheering out of that AFC division, like cheering for the Steelers this year because of that reason. Because I feel like everything's being put against them. People don't like Mike Tomlin as a head coach because number one, he's black, and number two, he has consistently been a winning coach, and you can't fire a guy like that. It would look crazy to fire Mike Tomlin. So they don't do it because it would literally be like, okay, now y'all tripping firing Mike Tomlin. So he's gotten to stay in this position, but people hate that he's so successful and that he's created some of the best defenses we've seen. And I think that has a lot to do with it. I'm not trying to be all conspiracy theorist here, but that's the NFL to me. I just think it's I don't put past them.
Because Ben Roethlisberger has been very vocal as well. He's always said that he just goes out and plays his game because he knows he's not going to get the calls for the hits that come against him like Patrick Mahomes would or Tom Brady would. He's been very vocal about that. So I think the Steelers have definitely marched to the beat of their own drum, and maybe the NFL doesn't like that. But even beyond that, I still think that the NFL – it's obvious. Like if you're really coming against the Steelers, don't make it this obvious because they've done everything right. They followed all your protocols. You look stupid. So what we're not going to do is pretend that you don't look dumb as hell right now by penalizing the Steelers for following your guidelines, which by the way are really not great guidelines. Yeah, we see you. We see you. All right, so that's all I got for what we not gonna do. Let's get Devin up here really quick. While we do that, let me just tell Donnie. Donnie, I see your $5. Thank you so very much. But Chris is no longer with us, so we appreciate your $5 though, and we will tell Chris that you shouted him out. But we gonna keep that. So let me get Devin up here really quick because now it's time for Britt's takes.
Britt's takes.
It's getting better. We just got to work on that last little take. But it's getting better. Without the mic, we're working on it. It's getting better, Devin. I appreciate it. Practice over the weekend, girl. All right, guys. It is time for Britt's take. So this guy, we're going to keep talking about quarterbacks because another guy that got a lot of passes during his career was Brett Favre. Yes, he is one of the greatest to do it, but he did have a lot of controversy during his career as well that people kind of just swept under the rug because it was Brett Favre and he got a lot of passes on things. But we don't even need to talk about all that because he did something this week that was kind of crazy. And it was in response to supporting another quarterback. Sorry to bring this up again, Jackie, but back in June, Drew Brees said, I think what you do by standing there and showing respect for the flag with your hand over your heart is it shows unity. It shows that we are all in this together. We can do better and that we are part of the solution. And, he went on to talk about his grandfather that was in the military and he kind of thought it was disrespectful to kneel for the flag and this, that, and the third. And then obviously there was some backlash because this happened again in June. George Floyd died at the end of May. There's been this huge, social justice, racial justice movement in the middle of Drew Brees saying this, in the middle of this police brutality, all this crazy stuff. So number one, to double down on comments you had already made years before in that moment was just poor taste. But he had since apologized. He said he spoke with some of his teammates, yada, yada. He's donated money. One of his big donations was being in charge of this last year was a 100-year anniversary for the National Negro League for baseball. And he donated a lot of money towards that. His family paid for it to be televised and all of this kind of stuff. So yes, good little moments came from that because obviously the National Negro League was huge. Some of the greatest players, Satchel Paige and Jackie Robinson and all these guys played in the Negro League. And then obviously both went on to play in the MLBs as well. But, some people are going to be like, well, he was just doing that for show. Some people this, that, and the third. But Brett Favre actually had a comment to make about it this week in an interview. And he said this, I think Drew stated clearly what he was standing for. He also then went on to say that Drew Brees got bullied for his stance, and there's no question about it, and he wasn't wrong. Bullied. Okay, I went and just double-checked the definition of being bullied, and it means to seek harm, intimidate, or coerce. And when I thought of that word, Drew Brees didn't come to mind, but a guy named Colin Kaepernick came to mind. And Colin Kaepernick was harmed because he lost his job. He was intimidated out of the league. He was intimidated to be quiet. And people did try to coerce him to stop kneeling and to stop, fighting for Black lives and against police brutality and stuff. So we're talking about bullied. Brett Favre, I think you are supporting the wrong person. You are defending the wrong person in this situation because the person that was truly bullied was Colin Kaepernick, because Colin Kaepernick is the one sitting here 4 years later, still without a job, lost, so many different things as far as his fans are concerned, still having people send him hate mail, still having people threatening his life, still to this day. Drew Brees has a game on Sunday, and he's going to be just fine, and he's just moving along perfectly fine with his team. So when we're talking about bullying, I don't see what you're referring here. I'm confused. I think that what Drew Brees said was bad in the statement and bad in the reading of the room of what the moment that was happening. And What happened? His teammates literally said, okay, we're going to sit down and have a conversation with you. We're going to blah, blah, blah. The organization decided to rally around him and like, oh, let's make this a learning movement. Let's give you a chance to apologize, this, that, and the third. That's not being bullied. That's literally being coddled and saying, oh, it's okay, Drew. It's okay that you made this mistake, or it's okay that you said this and you said it again a couple years ago. So really it's not a mistake. It's something that you actually believe that now you double down on and said again. But it's okay that everybody heard you say it, and we're going to make this all better for you. That's not being bullied. What happened to Colin Kaepernick is being bullied. So Brett Favre, I'm going to need you to have several seats on this one. I can't believe you would even go to even thinking Drew needs to be defended this week. It has been months. This happened back in June, and still you are talking about it, and still you are saying that the man got bullied. And it's fine, whatever. If you don't want to believe that he wasn't wrong, and yes, I do think that Drew stated clearly what he was standing for. I agree with that. It is, if you want to believe that and stand for that, yes, I didn't like that he tried to back away from it and say that he didn't mean that, even though he had already said it several times before. So to that part, Brett Favre, you are correct. But the bullying thing, we're not going to make Drew Brees the victim here. It's not going to happen. Jackie, you are the resident Saints fan. I know you weren't too happy about the Drew Brees thing, and I'm sorry to bring it up again. But what do you think about Brett Favre still at this moment, months and months later, using the word bullying in reference to Drew Brees in this moment, but then not saying anything about the Colin Kaepernick situation and not realizing that he was the one that was truly bullied? Or do you think it was Colin Kaepernick that was bullied or not bullied, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I definitely think Colin Kaepernick was bullied. What I think is happening with Brett Favre is I think that Brett Favre used to be one of my favorite quarterbacks because he just didn't care. He was just going to throw it. It might get intercepted. He's just going to throw it again. Like, he just didn't care. So I actually followed Brett Favre for a while. But I think what he's really saying is, and I'm only judging this because I've seen similar people come out and talk about stuff that happened like 6 months ago that's completely irrelevant now. But they're trying to basically kind of say, hey, this movement of Black Lives Matter and things of that nature is wrong. So let me go ahead and find something and dig something up that goes against that nobody's talking about right now, so I can remind you guys of why it's wrong. And I think that, and I've seen some people in the chat say that, you know, people should respect Drew's opinion. I agree with that. Just like I agree with the KKK, because of freedom of speech, they have a right to march because that's how freedom of speech works. Their speech is absolutely wrong, but our Constitution says they have a right to freedom of speech. I think that Drew's opinion was riddled with privilege and ignorance and a slight bit of racism. And I think that is completely wrong. This is America. Yes, he has the right to say that, but just as much as he has the right to say that, I have a right to call you out on your BS. And this is BS, sir. And I think that Brett Favre is taking this moment because he wants to reignite people who have some of that privilege and racist thinking to say, hey, this is a guy that you guys really admire. This is a guy that you look up to. This is a guy that really cares about his city. Look at what he's saying. Look, you can have this twinge of racism and still be considered a good guy. No, you can't, because we're going to call you out. You can have your little funky, little somewhat racist opinion, but we still going to call you out about it. And no one's being bullied. And the funny thing about it is you shouldn't have to be bullied into having an ounce of common sense. And if you think you're bullied about that, then it's because you don't have common sense and you feel some type of way about people bringing it to your attention. So in this moment, Brett Favre was wrong. Drew Brees was wrong. Yes, they have a right to have their opinion, but we have a right to tell them how wrong they are about it.
Right. And that's like what I don't understand in the comments. You guys are always like, oh, they can. I did say that he can believe that. That's what he believes. That is, it's not necessarily, I don't say it's fine, but it's your belief. That is totally what you do. And I was upset that he didn't stick with it. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe, my guy. Just continue to believe that. You don't need to come over here and try to act like people are bullying you into believing something else or coercing you into like being inspired to now like not be racist. You know, we don't believe that people can be forced to not be racist. It's something that you have to be inspired to be. So nobody's saying that, but like to try to make him the victim and say that he was being bullied in the situation is the part that I'm upset about. Like that is the part that it's like, no, he was not bullied into anything. So that's it for Britt's take. I said what I said. Jackie said what she said. Devin said what she said today.
Amen, ladies. Agree with you both 100%. No bullying going on here at all. Gary Turbo, thank you for the $2. Let's wrap up the show, you guys. I want to get into the weekend, so subscribe, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and we will see you guys on Monday. Check in on Saturday for Weekend Zone, and have a great weekend. Bye, everybody. Wear a mask.
Don't be racist. Woo!
Don't be a racist.
Right.